Today we have a guest here, and I would like you to say something about yourself.
My name is Dirk Houtveen. I live in Holland, and I'm 54 years old. My profession is a global ICT manager for a large company, and one of these automotive companies is also here located in Hogyan, and I visit sometimes the plant for audit the IT people to see if they still comply with the company's policies.
I see.
And on one of my journeys I met my future wife. She lives also, was born here and raised in Hogyan, and now we live together back in Holland.
Okay, great, thank you. I think we should talk about the biggest problem and situation we have on hand.
Yes.
About the pandemic. So, for example, when you entered the country, of course you had, or maybe when you will leave the country, you had probably some problems with.
Yes. Well, first of all, the country right now in Europe Europe is opening back up at the moment, and they are now color schemed, like yellow, orange, and red. And for us, it was a decision to see that Romania is for the rest of Europe orange. For Holland it is orange. That means that if I have to go back to Holland, I have to be 2 weeks in quarantine. And before we flew in here, we have to fill out some forms about our health. Do we have any issues with corona? And then if the files were actually all no, answers were all no, then you're okay to go. So.
And, do you have to stay in quarantine anyways, or can you do a test? Or
no, we have to stay in quarantine.
Oh,
Yeah, strong advice from the government is to stay home for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we will get ourselves tested.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I feel safer here than in Holland. The reason why, because here in Romania we're more strict to things. For example, the restaurants are not open unless they have a terrace. Well, we have most likely indoor restaurants, and they only allow 30 people at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then still the tables are being rearranged and with at least 2 meter distance from each other. And of course that is have economically a big impact for those people, because normally a restaurant with 100 people only allow 30 people. So, and some of these restaurants are closing because they cannot keep up with all the bills they have to pay. It doesn't make sense that they have actually 30 people and then they have the full staff to actually give them food, so it doesn't make any economic sense.
I see. Which leads to the next question. Does the government provide any kind of help or support, or
Yes.
tax break? How do you deal with it?
Well, if your business suffer from income or turnover more than 50%, they will come and help you to at least pay your bills for the employers, for that they get at least their salary paid, and also security for the people themselves, that they are not allowed to get them fired. And there are some help from the government, of course. Yeah. But nonetheless, there are also a lot of people that are still, how you say it, cannot sustain this economically downfall for what they have, and they have to close down. So still a lot of people, we increased about 20% of turnover for people that get unemployed, now raising for unemployment. So yeah, it's not easy.
How is the pandemic evolving in the Netherlands? So do you have lots of cases, or is it under control?
No, it's very good under control. We have the ICs, so the ICs in the hospital are back to normal before the coronavirus. Of course, we had a big peak with people that are hospitalized, but now it's under control. So they have really, how you say it, is before the coronavirus is back to normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's quite nice. Yeah. And a bit of a different question. What do you think about the Swedish way of dealing with the situation?
I heard things and I think that is not good the way Sweden was actually leave it as it is. And I think that everything is going away, but they will get hurt big time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting when they start feeling the corona pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And do you think they managed to, well, not help the economy, but diminish the effects of this downturn? Or it wasn't helping anyways, and they increased their numbers of infected people?
Well, they will get infected by it big time. Mm-hmm. They will see it, and I think you'll see the same thing what happened in Brazil. You know, they didn't do anything either unless it was too late. Well, Sweden will get the same thing. Mm-hmm. They will get hurt big time until somebody will step up, and now it's too late. Mm-hmm. And now you see also that one of the biggest hotspots now in South America is Brazil.
Yeah.
I think Sweden, if they don't act right now, that will be the next European big hotspot, like Italy in the beginning. Sweden will come.
And what do you think about Romania? Will it be able to control the situation? Because we've seen quite a big increase.
Yes, I think so, because first of all, here in Romania you had a complete lockdown. Everybody has to stay home. Mm-hmm. We in Holland had a technical lockdown. That means that if you can work from home, work from home. If you cannot, then you can go to your work, to your job, but take precaution. Here it was, for what I've understood from my wife, they were saying that you cannot go without a form or a letter from the government that you have to go outside the house that was necessary. In Holland we have a technical lockdown. That means that all the bars, cafes were closed, but the shop remained open. And in the shops you have to keep only 1.5 meter distance, and if the mouth masks were not necessary, they found it was not necessary.
Are the masks necessary now?
No.
Still not?
Still not. But I think you see now slowly, because everybody's on holiday right now, that you get a little increase of people that get infected. Mm-hmm. And the government is thinking about that the mouthpieces are getting necessary now. In the public transportation, they are, because you cannot stay away in 1.5 meters, that's mandatory that you have mouthpieces. But other than that, nothing.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
And let's talk about a bit about the job market. So, did it impact your company? So, for example, if you had some foreign workers and they cannot move in and out of the country, or how?
Yes. Well, first of all travel within the company was not allowed, because we have a company in China. And we have one here in Romania, and we have one in Mexico, and the main office is in Holland. And everybody was not allowed to travel. They have to stay where they are, work from home, or if necessary, they can start working in the factory. And because in the beginning, somewhere half of March, the end of March, where it starts, that Schiphol, our main airport, was closed. Mm-hmm. Other airfields were closed and nobody could travel. And that of course affect also the economy wise about goods coming in from all over the world. So it was like a domino effect. Mm-hmm. So the shops were, you have to wait longer for your product. And for us, work-wise, we had also less products taken from us, and the materials taken longer, so the lead time was longer than normal.
And did you manage to restore the supply and the sales? Or
well, slowly you see, of course, April and in May we had a big loss, and now we see slowly that the world starts to open back up again, that our turnover will still be increased. But that will not be good that the whole year will not be covering the cost anymore, because we will have you know, in May we had about 50% loss of, and basically that counts for almost all the companies in Holland, that they had a big turnover loss and they can't get back as they were for the rest of the year. So they get that loss. So hopefully next year we will see that the increase will go further and hopefully we come out stronger than ever. Yeah.
And what do you think that the autumn and winter will bring, so economically and pandemic-wise?
Well, it all depends if the second wave will come. Everybody is saying that it will come, and that will be a big disaster for the economy, and it will be a big disaster for all of Europe, actually for all the world, because then we're coming back again to a standstill. But I think we learned a lesson here, because, you know, in the end of March, it was all of a sudden, it was a virus coming. Mm-hmm. And nobody could foresee that. But now, if the second wave comes, you learned your lesson what to do, what you actually had done in the first. And maybe we do it better. And if the second wave comes, we will, you know, learn a lesson from it and deal it easier for the second wave. But economically, it will be a disaster for a lot of companies in Holland. Yeah.
And what do you think about next year? So lots of models say that next year there should be a growth in the economy, a GDP, well, not exactly a restoration, but still an increase. So do you think that will...
I think so, but it all depends on what the second wave is going to do. And it all depends how people act. You know, it's on the people, on the population themselves to deal with this virus. Be very strict and listen to the government and listen to the everybody, like the professors that really think this is what you should do, and do it. Because if you don't, then the second wave will come. And we'll see. Right now, I mean, you see that a lot of people are forgetting about the pandemic. They don't have the social distance. They want to have the social thing and don't keep the distance, and that will, you know, affect at the end of the year. Yeah.
I think in Romania people are getting quite tired of all these regulations and limitations.
Good.
What is the case in the Netherlands?
Same. Exactly the same. Yeah. Of course, I mean, when you stay home for 2-3 months, you want to be socialized. And in Holland, we are very social people. And you have to stay indoors for 2 months and not seeing anybody. That's not, you know, it's not good for the people themselves. So they want to have the social contact. And right now it's like, yeah, we do the social contact, but within distance. I mean, we have a large garden and somebody over there, but at least 2 meter distance. But then you can socialize. That's fine. But people that goes in cafes sitting next to each other and don't follow the rules, then you have the big problem. And those are the people that really ruins it for the rest of the population.
And what is your experience in cafes? For example, here if you sit on a terrace, you have to give some information, so at least your name and your telephone number, you know, for contact tracing. So do you do that?
That's the same thing. If you want to have dinner out in a restaurant, you have to reserve the place, you have to reserve the table, and you will get a questionnaire with a form that says what your name is, do you have any, you know, do you have a fever, or do you have a cough, or if you sneeze, or you have to mark it all down. And of course, if you answer one of them yes, then go see a doctor, because you're not going into the restaurant. Yeah, no, but you have these questionnaires, but every reservation you make. Yeah. That's true. And what I see here, the difference between the restaurants in Holland and the restaurants here is, I was very surprised by that inside the restaurants is not allowed, only restaurants with a terrace.
Yes, exactly.
In Holland it is allowed to be inside, only the tables are a bit more further away. Yeah. And that's why I think that Romania at that point is more stricter than in Holland. So for me it was surprisingly that Holland is still in color yellow, which is fine to go, and you don't have to go in corona. And now when I come here it's in orange, well I see it's much stricter and now we have to go back and we have to go 2 weeks in quarantine. So I don't think that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, have you heard about there were some problems in the legislation, so it was said that it wasn't, have you heard about the problems that in Romania they said that it wasn't constitutional when they introduced lockdown, and then there was a big relaxation in the laws until just a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, we had that same, like I said, we had a technical lockdown. It was not really a big lockdown like what you had here. And when it was being released, was actually for when we really showed that, because we are social people, and the cafes and bars went open again, that we could socialize a bit more, of course with distance, then we felt the release was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing was that first was only 10 people allowed together, and then it was 50 people allowed, and now it's 100 people. But gradually it goes up and up. But everybody should follow the rules about, if you want to do social, do it and still with a distance. Mm-hmm. But we see it slowly that it is working, but people that and for us it was good too, because we saw our friends again, and it was nice to sit in the garden with a glass of wine, and that was good. And a lot of people felt that relief. Mm-hmm. But still, the more relief they get, the more forgetful they get to not follow the rules. Mm-hmm. And our government is also now planning to do a weekly broadcast on TV, just to remind the people, do your social distancing, because we don't want the second wave. Yeah. Yeah. And they will also show what economically it will impact Holland if they don't follow the rules. Mm-hmm. So they will see what happens if we don't do it. And that's a good thing.
Okay. And do you have some recommendations, for example, for some local companies? I'm referring to the smaller ones, that mm-hmm. are based here.
Well, what can I recommend them?
Yeah, how they should maybe prepare, or what should they be paying attention?
First of all, you need to follow up the local rules and what the government needs you to do, and also prepare the company itself. Make sure that you do your social distancing also inside the company. Wear your masks, make sure you have your sanitized stuff all over the place. Make sure you have like guidance on the floor where you need to stand if you want to contact someone, or some companies they have a two-way street, and now it's only one way, and then on the other side the other way, so that you don't come next to each other. Mm-hmm. But it's very important that they follow up on those rules as well, because in Holland it is like, for example, if you don't follow up those rules, you get fined big time. And some companies get fined 4,000 euros just that they don't follow up the rule, only one rule. And some companies are getting closed because there's a big risk. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I've run out of questions, okay. But if you have anything you would like to discuss, any ideas you have, or...
The only thing I can say is, because we have to go through this pandemic, is to stay safe altogether, and follow up the rules, and keep your social distancing. Mm-hmm. Because only then we will survive this pandemic, until the vaccine is there. Because if the vaccine is there, then we can breathe again. Yeah. Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you very much.